Scaling Leadership, a top book on leadership, was released in 2019. Contact me for a free copy and an opportunity to discuss this compelling book. What are your top leadership strengths? Can you name 2 things that hold you back from showing up with your strengths? Did you know that leaders often sabotage their strengths by not knowing the things that hold them back? Do you have leaders in your organization that are not invested in the success of their direct reports? I had a client that was at the top of the leadership at his organization and was respected a lot by his peers. He had been in the position for many years and enjoyed his work. He was a participant in the Leadership Evolution program, and as part of the program, he went through a 360 process. When he got the results of his 360, he was shocked that his direct reports and even some of his peers gave him low scores for being engaged and being effective at leadership. It was a huge punch in the gut for him. He had pride in how he leads and how good he is at his job. After the sting of the news softened, he decided to figure out why he got the reviews that were negative on his 360. He overcame it by focusing on becoming a more effective leader. One of the things he found out was over the last few years he had been dealing with personal issues and he had lost momentum with his team and with his peers. He decided it was time to change this, and he did. He identified the parts of his leadership that needed to improve. He leaned into the strengths of his leadership. He put in place quarterly and an annual touch in working with each of his direct reports. He asked questions and he listened more than he had ever done before. All of his work has paid off for him. His team and his organization have benefited. The bottom line is his team produces more, communicates more, and is achieving more success than ever before. His team is now thriving and producing than they've ever done in the past. They are also more open with him about their career aspirations and are stepping up and taking more responsibility. He has been recognized by the CEO and many of his peers for the amazing job he has done. Also, he says he's far from slowing down the momentum. He is just beginning, he told me, to help each of his team members achieve their career goals and become a key employee in their organization. Do you have leaders that are in it for their success only? Possibly you hear statements like this: I can't get them to do anything I ask them to do. No matter how many times I explain something, they still screw up. I had a client that was in it for herself. She is a type A super achiever who kept getting promoted. She was going strong for several years, and then she was asked to go through leadership training. The HR director who contacted me said she can't go any further in a leadership role because no one likes working with her. In fact, her employees drove her crazy and she believed they slowed her down. You could hear her sigh any time an employee asked her a question or needed her help or direction. This is how she overcame this challenge. She went through the Leadership Evolution program and discovered that effective leaders value their direct reports and have a connection to each person that they work with. She spent most of her time going after the end goal. She was typical in that she had very little leadership training. Compared to the technical training she had gained through her years in the profession, the amount of leadership training she was getting was minuscule. She was fascinated to learn that leadership is something that is developed and learned. She identified through an assessment on emotional intelligence that her empathy was her lowest score. She struggled to have compassion for others when there was a deadline or bottom line to consider. She began putting strategies in place to increase her empathy. She also identified her leadership style and focused on being the leader she wanted to be. Her direct reports slowly found out they could count on her new behaviors, and they started to come to her with things that were important and valuable to the project. She also began to be interested in what her direct reports needed to grow in their own careers. This is how it impacted the bottom line. She started to see her team become more productive, spend less time griping about little things, and more time working together to hit their deadlines. Her and her team started to operate as a unit. They discussed things with each other instead of others in the company. Her executive director started to pull her into important conversations at a much higher level. Her team started to get projects that were more exciting and more rewarding. She also was rewarded with a promotion. In fact, a few months ago, I happened to meet up with her, and she told me things about herself and her team. She's a leader that cares for her people and is interested in helping them move forward. It isn't only about her success anymore. She is an effective leader.